GearNetwork.com.
Hello, Sanjay. What are you doing? I am using my Gear Network app on my mobile device, my friend. Oh, Gear Network app. What is that? Well, do you listen to Get Ready America? No. Do you listen to Better Life Than Dead? No. Do you listen to Misguided Musings? I do not. No. Well, my friend, they are very good shows and they are on this network. You can download the app by visiting gearnetwork.mobapp.at and download it on your Android device and save it to your home screen on your Apple device. What is Android? That is an operating system. What is Apple? That is another operating system. Oh, but I cannot eat that operating apple? No, you cannot eat that operating apple. However, you can go onto the Gear Network app and shop on the Amazon and have Apple delivered to you. Oh, that is wonderful. Gear Network app. Hooray!
This is a Gear Network production.
Broadcasting worldwide on GearNetwork.com, sharing wrestling news and opinions. It's Talking Wrestling and your host, JC.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 34 of the Talking Wrestling podcast here on the Gear Radio Network. How in the hell are you? This is John Cimino, a.k.a. JC Money, and I'm coming to you live from the Gear Network studio for episode 34. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/thejcmoney or facebook.com/thejcmoney, or you can follow the brand new Talking Wrestling page on Facebook at facebook.com/Talking Wrestling Podcast. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, get everybody up on there because all the wrestling news, everything that we're going to be doing is going there. So, how's it going? Oh yeah, I should probably pay some bills here. This episode, of course, is sponsored by the Gear Network store through Amazon. Visit gearnetwork.com/Amazon and click the link, bookmark it, please. No purchase too big or too small. Every purchase helps. Amazon kicks us back a little something to help out with production costs, and yes, it is good and it helps. And for all of you who continue to do that, have done it and continue to do it, Mama Wolf, I'm looking at you, and my mother-in-law, she's very good about that too. Very, very good about that. But thank you both, and thank you all for continuing to shop on GearNetwork.com/Amazon. You know what I'm doing right now is I'm going to actually, I'll turn this music down here, but I think I'm going to go live on Facebook. I'm going to give this a try on the Talking Wrestling fan page. Of course, you guys are listening now. It's going to be after the fact, and the people that are on Facebook right now, because I didn't announce it because it's kind of improv, are going to be like, what the hell is he doing? But I'm just going to go ahead. Let's see. Click continue. Okay, live video. Describe your live video. Improv gimmick with JC. Okay, going live. 3, 2, 1. Hey, look at this. I'm live on Facebook and I'm recording the podcast all at the same time. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Technology nowadays, it's amazing. This is kind of an improv situation here. You see, I'm going ahead, I'm recording. Look at this. Here we go. I can flip it. Yeah, look at that. See, that's my thing. That's my notes. That's my microphone. Flip it back. Never done this before. It's kind of like a simulcast thing. Maybe I might do this permanently. Probably not. But hey, so for you on Facebook that are looking at me right now, you're gonna have to listen to this episode of Talking Wrestling, which will drop tomorrow. And then when you listen to it here, you're gonna be like, "Oh man, what is he doing?" Then you can go back and look at the live video here that's on the Talking Wrestling podcast Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Talking Wrestling Podcast. I think I got that right. I created the damn page. I should know that by now. But in any event, I'm going to actually finish this video off here. His comments will appear here, and nobody's commenting because I didn't say anything. So maybe next week. Maybe next week I'll do this. Maybe. I don't know. Bye, Facebook. Hello, podcast. Okay. So now that we are here doing our thing, I am going to talk some professional wrestling with you today. Yes. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying here that last episode, when I was going off to the commercial break before I brought on Mark House, I kind of made a mention that I was hoping that there would be no more deaths in wrestling to report. The season premiere, I reported the death of independent pro wrestler Chris Travis. Last episode, I reported the death of Balls Mahoney, ECW original. But I was not expecting... I mean, I hate to say it because this is going to sound so rude and so this is going to sound bad. I was kind of expecting it. I should say not. I was not surprised by it, but still, it was kind of a, you got the whoa factor with this one. Joanie Laurer, a.k.a. Chyna, the first female to compete in the Royal Rumble, the first female to compete in the King of the Ring, the first female to regularly compete against men, the first female to win the Intercontinental Championship on more than one occasion, the only female to win the Intercontinental Championship, and former women's champion, was found dead in her apartment, and she was 46 years old. Now, this one was kind of a tricky, it's kind of a tough thing because looking at it from an outsider's perspective, and if you really look at the story of Chyna and how she rose up and then kind of just her world came crashing down after the relationship, the very real life relationship of her and Triple H dissolved. And Triple H was dating Stephanie behind his back, and they fell in love or whatever. And you know what? If you fall in love, that's cool, but as the story went and as the story goes, he was doing it behind Chyna's back for a very, very long time, and instead of just confronting her about it, he kind of just left her high and dry at an arena. And then ultimately after that, her contract wasn't renewed. They weren't going to use her anymore. They just kind of let her go, and you began to see kind of the free fall thing, the reality shows that she was on, her and Sean Waltman, on multiple levels, I guess, with substance abuse and just negative press, and you always heard about how nice of a person she was. I didn't know her personally, never met her, and I'm not going to pretend that I know her, other than her work. Her personal life aside, her body of work in the WWE stands alone. Like, there is no one that has been able to touch her level regularly. And I don't think now in this PG era that they're doing, they would ever have women versus men anymore, because it's just not that era of pro wrestling. Now, that being said, WWE went to great lengths over the past 10 years that Chyna has not been with the company, maybe even longer now at this point. And I think it's been actually over 10 years, maybe 12 or something, that she hasn't been with the company. And they've done a major job of making sure that, her name was never really mentioned. She wasn't really mentioned, aside from, the Royal Rumble highlights where they were doing the, stats by the numbers, and I think they said, one of the numbers was the first female to enter the Royal Rumble matchup, or multiple Royal Rumble matchups, or whatever, maybe it was the amount, because Chyna's not the only one to have competed. I think Awesome Kong competed in one too, but nevertheless, they did a good job of not acknowledging her for the entire time that she was gone from the company and alive. When news came that she had passed away, it really was one of those weird situations. Like, I don't think I could ever be in that, would want to be in that situation in life. Not just in wrestling, but in life. I mean, from WWE's perspective, and with them, they were damned if they do, damned if they don't, in my honest opinion. because of the main fact that there was such the tie with Triple H now running the ship with Stephanie, the person he left Chyna for. And now, Chyna unquestionably made her mark. And now, what do? If they don't acknowledge it, they're insincere and they're not giving the fans what they want. If they do acknowledge it, they really don't mean what they say because, they put Chyna through whatever they put Chyna through. And I see both sides of that story, but I would like to think that at this point in each of their lives, that, number one, they would be adult enough to recognize, game recognizing game, so to speak. But number two, to really put it in perspective and not, it's a mortality thing at this point because she was their age. It could have easily been them, could have easily been you or I, it was, and it turned out to be her. And really at the end of the day, when someone falls and you never had that chance to, make amends or make things right or whatever the case was, I would like to think the human side of Triple H and Chyna, or excuse me, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon felt bad. I don't think that they are malicious people, At the end of the day, Triple H goes home, Stephanie goes home, their parents, But the bottom line is it's a very, very, very sad story for someone as iconic as she was to the game of professional wrestling. Now, that being said, they aired a video package on Raw. And again, I was very indifferent about it. And I've had a chance to sleep on it and think about it and whatever. But I think they did the right thing. They gave the fans the acknowledgement that we know you guys want to see this. This is kind of like a mourning thing for wrestling fans. Like wrestling fans, whenever a wrestler dies, they turn to WWE programming to see if WWE does like a tribute. And when they do that, I think that gives fans a sense of closure that the company that they buy into and they support every week, month, day is feeling them, like when Macho Man died. There was the long history of Randy Savage versus Vince McMahon, Randy Savage versus the WWE. Why isn't he in the Hall of Fame yet? Blah, 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 blah. Then he died, and it was like, oh, crap, He really left this big mark. And it's almost the same with Chyna. Now, I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, because when Triple H mentioned Google Chyna and tell me what you find, we know what he was getting at when he said that. The adult film industry that she ended up finding herself involved in, that would probably have come up recently. But I do think that, and while I don't believe the WWE Hall of Fame is anything more than just a big gimmick for WrestleMania, I don't think it's anything special anymore, especially since they took Hulk Hogan out of it. I do think that she does belong in there. She richly deserved being in there. It's terrible that it's going to come at a point when she can't physically be there to acknowledge it and have a speech. And that, I think, bothers me the most out of all of that. But the autopsy on Chyna's death is going to come soon, and if I remember, I'll say it in the next episode, but safe home, Chyna. Joanie Laurer dead at age 46. Now on to wrestling news, because right now it would not be very appropriate, I think, to go to a commercial break, so I'm just going to continue with the wrestling news, and we'll go from there. As seen on WWE Raw last night, the WWE announced that there are 4 episodes remaining of the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness. Of course, one aired last night after Raw, so now there's 3. Personally, for me, I'm a fan of that show. I think it's very, very funny. But Edge made a comment the other day saying that he's not sure that he wants to do a season 2. I guess he totally underestimated the preparation for it, producing it, because they're helping produce it and all that stuff, and everything that goes into just that 25 minutes or 27 minutes and 50 seconds worth of content takes a very, very long time to prepare. Being a producer here in gear as well as a podcaster, I can understand that, because for, the 35, 45 hour long podcasts that you listen to, it certainly doesn't take 35, 45 or an hour to just produce, so I can get that. I can understand that. And you gotta have a love for things like that. If that's something that you are into and that's something that you want to do, and you have a passion for it and you're excited about it, and go for it and do it. I'm not 100% sure that Adam Copeland, aka Edge, is up for that. And you know what? If not, hey, it was a great first season. I laughed very hard at Mean Gene yelling out "Holy balls." For some reason, I thought that was hysterical. So, the League of Nations are done. The League of Nations, that was the team of Sheamus and King Barrett and Alberto Del Rio and Rusev. And then they booted out Wade Barrett, and he's no longer on TV anymore. And now it is, according to an interview while WWE was on tour in Europe last week, Alberto Del Rio spoke with SoloWrestling.com. The interview is in Spanish, of course. And during the interview, Del Rio did confirm the WWE's plans to break up the League of Nations group, saying, quote, "We will not do anything else with the Wyatt family because there are so many..." The translator was horrible, but basically, because they are going to separate us. He then went on to say that he has 2 or 3 years left on his WWE deal, and then after that, he wants to go home and rest. So he's very likely not going to be renewing his contract when it comes time, and that the League of Nations was formed so that all of them could get a spot on the WrestleMania 32 card. Makes sense. They're all, good talents on there. Even Sheamus, as Handsome Randy, one of my former managers in wrestling, would call him, the Celtic Rooster. Last episode, I reported on TNA headquarters moving. Here's an update to that. The Tennessean recently profiled TNA Wrestling moving their headquarters near Nashville, and featured comments from the TNA Chief Financial Officer, Dean Broadhead, and owner of TNA's new home at Skyway Studios, Julie Stadler. They're moving to Skyway Studios. I'm not exactly sure where that is, but Skyway Studios is where they are moving to. They say that Dean Broadhead said that moving the television production to Skyway Studios provides the ability to use some of the newest technologies and create domestic and international growth. Julie Stadler comments that Impact Wrestling is a well-known brand producing and delivering hundreds of hours of original content each year to millions of fans around the world, and they are pleased that they choose to house their operations at that facility. Okay, good. Now, TNA has been on a downslide as far as the ratings are concerned, so hey, you know what? For a business that really needs and thrives on competition, from that aspect, I hope that TNA would come back and do something. I think the name TNA itself is tarnished at this point. People associate that with just wannabe WWE Junior, and I'm not sure what happened with the partnership with Global Force Wrestling, or if Global Force Wrestling with Jeff Jarrett is even still a thing anymore, because I haven't really heard anything about it. But maybe a merger between those two and let the Jarretts run it again. That would probably be the best idea. I'm not 100% sure. And finally, there was a local show last week, IWF, the International Wrestling Federation, out in Brockport, New York. I do not have the results, though, as much as I would have liked to. I just know offhand that the team of the Homewreckers, with manager Jonathan Ash, who's a pretty good Jim Cornette kind of manager now. Mark House, our buddy, and our other buddy, Eric Emanon, in the Battle of the IndyCar Mafia, defeated Thomas Brewington. I just know that they won. So next show, I'm going to have a correspondent. If I'm not there in person myself, I will have a correspondent who will get me the results, and then I will read the results to you. But I can tell you that the next show is May 27th in Brockport, New York, and it is highlighted by Big Cat Lemmer, a good friend of mine from my NMW training days. Big Cat Lemmer taking on Scotty Too Hottie. In addition, Coconut Jones takes on Frank the Tank Burlington in a 3 stages of hell match, which to my recollection, has not been done in Rochester Wrestling. So that's a first. And if it has been done in Rochester Wrestling, it hasn't been done either good or hasn't been done in a long while. So watch out for that match. Also, TNA's The Pope, D'Angelo Dinero, Bobby Ocean, and Sean Carr are also going to be in attendance. There's going to be more announcements coming in the weeks to follow, and of course I'll throw it out here because it's local. The last show, Bobby Ocean filled in for Sean Carr, whom was injured. He was injured on a Ring of Honor tryout, but he will be good to go, good as new, come May 27th. Again, that is in Brockport, and I'm going to try my best to get some IWF talent on here, not just Eric Emanon and Thomas Brewington, who will definitely have a home here whenever they want, or Mark House, but I'm going to try and get more people. I'm going to try to get Big Cat on here again. I think I'm going to text him and see if he wants to get on. But you won't know. I'm not going to announce it like a week before like I did last, in the very beginning, because it's just not going to happen. So, all right, we are going to finally take a commercial break, and when we come back, I'm actually going on Facebook right now, and I am typing, "The line is open. Who wants to call in?" So we're going to play the waiting game. While you listen to commercials, I'm going to wait and see if there is a wrestler that wants to jump online and talk some wrestling with me. I'll probably get somebody. Stick around and find out. I'm often asked about the logos of the show and Gear Network and everything. It comes to me, JC, where do you get the designs, the cool designs for the show and everything? And I'm going to tell everybody right now, right here, you heard it here, it is Indie Card Media. Indie Card Media is a local business that specializes in making quality designs for your website or your business. Whatever you do, they can do it. If you need proof, you can look at all of our logos, or you can go to facebook.com/IndieCardMedia to see all of the designs, which include a political banner, because they've done political banners and everything. Nothing is off limits with them. Give Eric a shout at IndieCardMafia@gmail.com, and he will help you bring your design to life. Tell him Gear Network sent you, and hey, he may hook you up with a little something, or at least a smile, because you heard it here. But go to IndieCard Media at Facebook. Again, facebook.com/IndieCard Media. Do it now. Bring your designs to life. Hey, Dawn, how's it going?
Living the dream. I'm actually just getting ready to do this commercial.
Oh, you mean the commercial where I tell our listeners to tune into Gear Network every week to listen to our show, Get Ready America? That one?
Yeah, John, that's the one.
They can also listen to us talk about news, sports, whatever's on our minds, that.
And a little what's on our listeners' minds, but they're just too nice to say it.
Well, that, Dawn, is a real humdinger. Come join us this and every week for Get Ready America, exclusively on the Gear Radio Network.
And the Gear Network app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I am Ryan Wolf.
it's Mr. Perez.
And I have a question for you, Perez.
What's your question?
Do you like to listen to people talk about sports?
No. Of course I like sports and listening to people talk about sports.
Well, guess what? I have the perfect solution for you.
Solution for me?
There's a podcast on this very network.
This network?
Every single week you can hear it.
Really?
New content, latest and breaking news. We talk about baseball, football, hockey, basketball, soccer, UFC, whatever you want to talk about.
So sports in general.
They talk about sports in general. You got it.
I like it.
You know the dictionary.
I like it.
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
I must say, tune in. We are better live than dead.
You're not.
Every single week. You're not going to want to miss it. Exclusively here on the Gear Radio Network.
You're soft, you're sloppy. They calling me Poppy. I'm rolling in bands, you riding around, and I beat up jalopy.
You're listening to Talking Wrestling. Once again, JC Money.
In the club, stacking the ducks, stuck in a lot.
All right, everybody, I am back, and I am here on the line, the Gear Network hotline, talking wrestling with Matt Milan, the Maverick. He currently is the owner and CEO of Maverick Photography, who is actually a brand new sponsor to the network. So we're going to welcome him, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. He is also a former. Are you still wrestling professionally, or what's going on there?
We're gonna be hush hush about that part.
Okay. So then, well, I'll backtrack. I'll backtrack it a little bit here. I'll say he's a former professional wrestler, very accomplished amateur wrestler, Mr. Matt Milan. Matt, say hello to the Talking Wrestling audience.
Hello, audience. How we doing? Thanks for having me, DC.
I'm gonna guess they're saying they're doing fine, but I can't really tell right now. But all right, it's all good. So Matt, give the audience who may have heard of you, but haven't seen you in a while, or don't know who you are. Give us a little history, a brief history on how you came to be, where you started, who trained you, etc.
Wow. Let's see. It goes back probably about 5-6 years ago. Yeah, it was in 2010. Me and some friends were doing, backyard wrestling, whatever. And I was like, a few of us were like really like loving it, and we're like, hey, let's go find a school. Let's try and get into it. And one of those schools happened to be up in Rochester. At the time, it was NWA New York, but it was their Kayfabe Dojo, which is currently the training school for upstate pro wrestling. And there's actually a group of 8 of us at the time. We took up 2 cars and drove up to Rochester 2 nights a week for training with Gabriel Saint and Hellcat, who were the 2 trainers. I believe Hellcat still has a part in it. I'm not sure exactly who's running the school now. I believe Mark Haas is. But they were the
Yes, Mark is. Mark's currently running the school. Yes.
Okay, well, it's in good hands. Let's see. But yeah, it started off like that. I was driving up, like I said, 2 nights a week. It put a lot of miles on my car. Eventually, I ended up moving up there. And right when I moved up there, I started getting on, shows regularly, and it took me a while to really take things seriously with wrestling, because everyone comes in and they're kind of like, oh, it's just a hobby, just want to do it for fun. And then once some of the really helpful vets, they start to give you pointers and stuff, it's like, well, that was really cool. I should probably embrace this a little more. And probably end of 2011, beginning of 2012 is when things really started to pick up for me. As far as booking-wise, I was working everywhere. I had the wonderful opportunity to wrestle for 2CW for almost a year, maybe a little more than that. I worked a few ESW shows. I've kind of been all over, Canada, Syracuse, Ohio.
So you've done a lot in a short amount of time. Now, I know you had a stint at Pure 6, and while there was some other issues associated with that I'm not really going to get into, were you there when I was there?
I think, unfortunately, I don't remember you from there. I think I might have came around after.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I know I would have remembered you. You're kind of tall and you're kind of big. Yeah. So I think I would have remembered you. But I had what my introduction to you wasn't actually verbal or Facebook or anything like that. It was more of a personal situation that made its way backstage at Pure 6, and I was made privy of the situation because even though I've been away from wrestling for 4 years, I'm still very keen on certain things, and a lot of people still come up to me for advice or whatever. Just today, I actually got asked to watch a match for some student, and I gave Pure 6 a piece of my mind about that. and then that was kind of like the last I heard of it. But then I'd seen your name in the 2CWs and the different things like that, and then it just kind of stopped. So what happened to make you stop wrestling? Was it injury? Was it just life? Was it you were burned out? Something else?
It was a definitely combination of things. I was a little bit hurt. My knee had been acting up, and there was a point where I couldn't walk or do anything for 2 weeks, and it was a very scary feeling. And I know a lot of wrestlers, like, you know, they bounce back, and you know, this is their life and all that. But it was scary financially. You know, you gotta pay the bills and all that. A lot of other things. I'm sure you know about the politics in wrestling.
Oh, of course. I still deal with it to this day. And I haven't bumped in an official capacity in over 4 years, but I'm about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks removed from my last in-ring encounter. But yes, I'm very well aware of that.
It's very it's emotionally exhausting. Some of the politics. I mean, I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, I deserve this spot, this spot, this spot. There's a lot of pro wrestling is a very territorial thing backstage, and it was you know, emotionally taxing on me, some of the things. And you work for one promoter, and they'd be like, oh, you can't work here, and I'm like, why? What does it matter to you? But it was things like that. And you know, I mean, I'm not a grizzled veteran. I was in for about 4 or 5 years, but a little respect and, you know, is appreciation for me. So
a little respect can go a long way. I know that firsthand. You know, sometimes, and in my encounters with you, and I'm going to preface this by saying we haven't actually, to my surprise, have not actually physically met yet.
No, and
I'll be in your neck of the woods July 9th, though, so you should probably come out to that. That'd be cool. But my encounters with you have always been very respectful, and you know, I mean, you didn't know me from anybody, or maybe you did, but you've never treated me, you know, like an enemy, or like you know, an asshole that just abandoned wrestling and you know, is bitter about it or whatever. You know, you never treated me like that, so that always resonated with me.
I had no reason to. Something that was taught to me by Muscle Marcos. Yeah, I'm sure you know Marcos from the he's tag with Kevin Dunn.
Oh, Marcos. Little known fact: I beat Marcos in 2001 for my first championship. So yes, I know Marcos.
Did you really?
I sure did.
Okay.
He was mean Marcos, and I was JC Money, and I looked broke as hell. And I was probably about 130 pounds, including pimples, and he was probably 140. And he was the cruiserweight champion, and I beat him. I can't remember. I think I beat him with interference from Eric Everlast. Was my hired gun, and I had the referee distracted, and Eric Everlast had a mask on and came in, and he did the famouser on Marcos. And then I quickly pinned him 1, 2, 3, and I was, you know, the champion. But yeah, that was way back in 2001. But Mark is a great guy.
I was just a young boy back then. He was a great person to be around, and he told me this one thing about treating people, you know, the way they treat you. It's a basic old adage that goes back to elementary school. But if nobody's done anything wrong to you, there's no reason to treat them, you know, be a jerk to him. And, you know, JC, you've always been very nice to me through our interactions via Facebook, and I respect you a lot. And I'm not a really rude guy at all. I don't like to attack people in any way if they haven't wronged me in any way.
That's definitely good. I'm a natural ball buster, so everybody, you know, it rubs people the wrong way.
You do a damn fine job of it.
I try my best. If I got to be good at something, I might as well be good at that, right? All right.
Well,
there was some big news this past week in the wrestling world, and I mentioned this at the top of the podcast. And it's been back to back to back, it seems, for the past month and a half with wrestler deaths. We heard of Chris Travis, independent wrestler, that was about a month ago now at this point. 2 weeks ago was Balls Mahoney, and last week was Chyna, and that was clearly the biggest of the pro wrestling deaths this year, hopefully the last.
Hopefully.
Your thoughts on the two things. Your thoughts on the impact of Chyna as a wrestler and what she meant to the business. And part two is, do you think WWE was kind of damned if they did, damned if they didn't, because they're receiving a lot of backlash, and I think a lot of it is richly undeserved.
No, I agree. As far start off part one with Chyna, I always seen her as kind of a trailblazer. Like, but I remember being a young kid in the '90s watching Monday Night Raw, and just seeing her. She was just a physical specimen, and to see her mixed up with the boys. She wrestled the guys, the girls, and that was, to my knowledge, or either at the time, that was never seen before. You always had the women's division, and they stuck with the women, but Chyna would mix up with the boys, and I think that was really cool to see, and it paved the way for the some of those wrestlers, the divas, that go toe to toe with the guys. I mean, Awesome Kong, Karma, and there's been a few others too, in that aspect. And in relation to part two of your question, the backlash. Well, I mean, the video package that they played last night on Monday Night Raw for Chyna, it seemed a little, I don't know if it seemed forced. I know they did do the tribute at the beginning, the picture slideshow, the in memoriam.
Right.
I thought that was going to be what it was, but a lot of people were complaining online, and I don't know if that forced them to do some damage control and come up with a quick video package to show the fans to save face. I'm not entirely sure. She does deserve the respect, and you can't erase her from history, which is a common thing in wrestling sometimes. But I think with the video package, they did do her a little bit of justice. Remains to be seen whether she'll be in the Hall of Fame anytime soon. But I think that'll be that's true appreciation for everything she's done for wrestling.
You see, I'm a bit indifferent on the whole situation, because it was really one of the weirdest situations that I think anybody could be in. On one hand, on one side, you're the WWE, run by Chyna's ex-boyfriend, and the woman that he left her for. That whole ordeal that became very public. On the other end, your Chyna's side prior to her death, who was like, enough time has passed, I think I can be adult, you should let me in the Hall of Fame, or at least acknowledge my name on TV, which is something that they didn't do. So it's very weird. I agree with you where the video package seemed forced, but again, it was kind of a damned if they do, damned if they don't scenario. It's really one of those weird things. Like, I guess the only way that...
I agree. You can't really please anybody in a situation like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is what it is, and unfortunately, it's a loss. And I said earlier, and it still holds true, that it's unfortunate that cooler heads couldn't have prevailed earlier, and do I personally think that she will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? Yes, I do. Matter of fact,
oh yeah.
If it doesn't happen next year, I would be very, very surprised. it's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to see her be up there and receive that award and hear her Hall of Fame speech. And I almost equate that to the Macho Man, when Macho Man for so many years, in WWE were just at an impasse, and then it seemed like Macho Man was starting to come around, and WWE was kind of starting to come around, and then Macho died, and then all of a sudden WWE loves Macho Man again. And right. I kind of see that. I don't know. Am I out of place for thinking that?
No, not at all. I actually 100% agree with you on that statement. There was some comparisons to Macho Man. I think what WWE tends to do is a lot of the time they have these bitter, rivalries with some of their former wrestlers, and they try to erase them. And I don't know if it's out of sympathy or catering, not catering to the fans, but pleasing them that all of a sudden they honor them in that manner. When you could see that with Hulk Hogan all the time. I mean, he is who he is, but he comes and goes out of their history all the time. So, no, you're absolutely correct, though.
Yeah, I'm not very thrilled. I'm still not thrilled on their current treatment of Hulk Hogan, but that's a different story for a different day. Yeah. All right. Last thing. You are dipping into the world of photography. Tell us a little bit about Maverick Photography. What made you want to get into that field? Well, all my life, basically, my mom was very big into pictures. I guess as I got older, I started to appreciate it a little bit more. And, I travel, I go see a lot of places, especially with wrestling. That's one of the things I missed about wrestling, is going to see different places. And I wish I had my camera back then. But, the older I got, the more I appreciated it. And I just got a new camera for Christmas. I was testing it out. And people were like, "Oh, yeah, you're really good at this. You're really good at what you do." So I'm like, yeah, why not try to turn it for profit, I guess. I mean, it's photography. It's a big industry if you know what you're doing. And I'm still working out the kinks, but so far it's been a lot of fun. All right, and where can one find you and information on how to get a hold of you to perhaps schedule a photo shoot? Let's just say if there is a certain wrestler that is coming back on July 9th and wrestling for the first time in 4 years, I don't know who that would be, but let's just say that person wanted to get promo pics. How would that person go about reaching out to you, finding you, and hooking up with you?
Okay. Well, I do have a business Facebook page. It is Maverick Photography. I also accept any bookings via email. My personal email is N as in Nancy, FHS215 @gmail.com. And you can send me an email. We can discuss whatever it is you want to do. I'm very, very approachable as far as getting pictures done. We can talk prices, whatever you need to know. I'd be happy to help.
All right, Matt Milan, I appreciate you jumping on in such short notice, and definitely we need to meet up sometime, whether it's ESW, OSPW, IWF, or just randomly out there somewhere. So I appreciate it again, man. Thanks for hopping aboard.
Thank you. Take it easy, brother.
Matt Milan, everybody, the Maverick, Matt Milan. Good guy. Real good guy to talk to. Again, somebody that I haven't physically met, but we've met through Facebook and just have shot the breeze and talked wrestling and everything. And again, it is Maverick Photography, and he does Buffalo and he does Rochester. You can book him via email. It is N as in Nancy, F as in Frank, H as in Hobie, and S as in SK. No. Let me stop there. NFHS215 @gmail.com, or you can message him on his Facebook page, and it is Maverick Photography. So again, give him a shout for your photography needs, and he'll hook you up. Tell him JC Money and Gear Network sent you, and I don't know that that'll do anything, but it'll at least be a nice gesture. It'll let him know that you listen to the podcast and you got the information from us, and then he'll, just be like, hey, a listener came and got some pictures. Thank you. And I'll be like, hey, cool. All right. Awesome. So, yes, it's all local here, folks. All local. But, all right, that's going to do it for us this week on episode 34 of Talking Wrestling with JC Money or John Cimino, whichever you want to call me. And, hey, call me whatever. Remember, July 9th, I'm going to be at OSPW WrestleFest 14 Wrestling Trip. I will have more and more on it as the weeks progress, videos, all sorts of stuff. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. You should get out there. It is, again, July 9th in Buffalo. Details coming momentarily, I guess, when this next show in May passes. But this is a copyrighted podcast of the Gear Radio Networks, and any rebroadcast or reproduction without the express written permission of the Gear Radio Networks or GRN Productions is strictly prohibited. The executive producer of this fine podcast is my wife and co-host for Get Ready America, Mrs. Dawn Cimino. Speaking of Get Ready America, we are planning on doing one this week. It is another Super Tuesday week, so we are going to talk about that, among other things, including the death of Prince, the musical icon Prince, which, as far as celebrities go, it overshadowed Chyna's death, unfortunately. But in any event, look out for that. And, listen to Misguided Musings and Better Live Than Dead. They're both brand new. They are both up on the Gear website this week on the Gear Network. Oh, by the way, Google Play Music. How you doing? We can be heard there, too. We can also be heard on the Gear Network app and a million other places. Pretty much wherever you want to find a podcast, you can find us. Thanks for shopping Amazon. Thanks for listening. Tune in again in 2 weeks. So long, everybody. Good night now.
Recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.